We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Hello and welcome to this special live broadcast of Grow Your Own by Bma Hydroponics here on the Pace Radio Network. I'm Al Graham, and I'm not the normal voice for this show, but they are here to join us tonight. Ross and Deb Middleton are here, as well as my very busy co-host, Kim Cooper. Hello, everybody. Ross, Deb, Kim. Welcome.
Hey there. How's it going?
Good.
Hi.
Good.
Hey, guys.
Welcome.
Hey there, Kim.
Hey there. How are you?
Welcome aboard. When we haven't really had a sort of one of those announcement shows about you joining here with your podcast. I went and grabbed your podcast and created this little thing, and I said, hey, we got to have a show, and we got to have a proper announcement with you guys to discuss on what's coming up with Grow Your Own in your series for 2020. So Kim's joined us, the two of you are here, and I thought, hey, let's have a sit down, maybe have a discussion of a review of a bit of what you've done in the past, as well as what's coming in the future.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
All right, so where would you like to get started? You want to review on some of the stuff in the past? Do you want to go over maybe a bit of a history of BMA to get going, and why you're coming up with this series as far as Grow Your Own?
Sure. I think we can start. I don't know how far back we go. I mean, we go back 18 years as far as
that's a good
BMA
start.
Hydroponics. So, I guess we can start in 2002 when we opened up in January. Things were a little different back then. We didn't have a medical cannabis program. We didn't have anything. Everything was all on the sly, and people slid in and they slid out unannounced. It was very cool back then. 2002 medical program comes along. I had one of the first. We had one of the first 4 or 5 people who were approved under the old MMAR program. A guy with one leg named Terry. We don't know where he is anymore. It's been a long time, but he used to take great pleasure in driving around in his car with a plate on his passenger seat with his bag of weed and his rolling papers and everything. And every time the cops would pull him over, he'd pull out that pink paper and hang it in their face. And they'd have to call the supervisor, and say, "Is this real?" Yeah, it was real.
Yeah.
So from there, how things went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, from there, we got more and more people in the MMAR, and Deb and I ourselves, got onto the MMAR. We were there when the injunction was issued, when Stephen Harper, in his lack of wisdom, decided that people didn't need to grow their own medical cannabis anymore for 15 or 30 cents a gram. He wanted people to pay $10 or $15 a gram from some corporate producer. But we fought that and we won, right? So I think that's really awesome. And I think this is a good opportunity for me to talk about Loyalist College. I just went to Loyalist College. I was invited to do a seminar there for the cannabis class. Yes, there's a cannabis class at Loyalist College.
Very nice.
And I started the class by giving them about 20 or 30 minutes of how we got where we are. What's happened since Prohibition, really. I mean, I kind of skimmed over all of that and all of the arrests and things and got right to the 2000s and how things changed and the court battles we fought and the people who put their futures on the line so that all of this could happen and get us to where we are today. And that they should appreciate the sacrifices that other people made that have made it so that they now have opportunities to get really good jobs in an industry that never existed before. So I think we all should take credit for that and be proud of that. We really did a lot, and we sacrificed a lot, all of us.
Yes, we sure did, and it's been patients that have been the ones that have been involved in these court battles in order to...
It is, yes. And it's medical cannabis that drove everything. It really did.
That's right.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and the advocacy, and with
with that, we were going to have 3 intern placements through the college, but because of what's going on right now with the COVID-19 virus, they've unfortunately canceled their whole intern program for this year. Yeah. So it's a shame. I know the students were looking forward to it because it's not everything it's cracked up to be in the classes the way it's treated, and they really wanted to come and work with us so they could actually learn and see some hands-on experience with it.
Believe it or not, if they handle cannabis, they have to go in turns, and only 1 or 2 can handle it at any given time. They have to wear white smocks, gloves, hairnets, face masks, all of those things. If they happen to come in contact with a cannabis plant, all must be put into a hazmat box
for disposal
and disposed of appropriately. That kind of stuff is still kind of.
Are they doing surgery here or what?
You know, they're afraid. Honestly, they actually said that they're concerned that people could absorb THC through their skin and get high when it's known that blood's already been to your brain. So even if you smothered it all over your skin, you would never get high. So I don't know how all that works, but anyway, there it is. It's radioactive. Be careful, folks.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, but other than that, though, having the, I don't know, let's call it legitimacy to say that we are now working with a college, and those students want to come and work with us to do their internship, so that when they get their degree, they have experience in growing cannabis.
And it's good that the college allows them, you know, this is an opportunity as an educational part for them as part of their.
It is.
Yeah, working together.
Yeah, so that's one exciting thing. I mean, let's move on. So we were kind of moving through the 2000s there. I mean, we get up to 2014, the injunction. You know, Deb and I were on that. We moved, and of course we were between programs there for a while. Fortunately, we grew enough under the MMAR to last us for the couple of years it took to get the ACMPR, and we all fought hard for the ACMPR. We know about the Allard hearings, and we know about the Smith ruling that allows for extracts, and that's why we have edibles and extracts on the market right now for the recreational market. All of these things came from the medical program. You know, flash forward to 2019 or 2018 and legalization, and things changed overnight. For us, I mean, business started to boom. Virtually the day after legalization, business started to climb. It's been great for us ever since. We renovated the store last year. We added onto it a warehouse that's actually bigger than the store. So we are now the largest hydroponics store between Toronto and Montreal.
Really?
And not only that. I don't know how many people have already heard, but it's already been kind of out there. But I'm going to officially announce that we are now opening a second store in Kingston. And we're so super excited about this. It's going to be an awesome store. It's already up and running. It's in the same colors of our store with the same people behind it. We're right there to help every step of the way with it, good advice and training for all the employees and all the customers who come into Kingston. There's been a lot of excitement expressed about it in our store because many of our customers currently come down from Kingston. And when they found out we're putting a store out there, they were just so super excited. You know, and there's some good people out there too.
Yeah, fantastic. You know that another store is opening up in Kingston. Nice big center. Big city for sure, and
yes,
very nice city, limestone city.
Yes, it is the limestone city.
That's right, and they will have classes the same as we do in our store. There are medical people that are license holders that work there as well, so they have empathy and can advise on medical issues with people as far as cannabis goes. Some of them have actually worked with some of the clinics, the cannabis clinics in the past, and are now coming on board.
One of them was on your show last night, Diana Donnelly.
Right.
She will also be running she will also be
Yep.
running the clinic in
Yes.
Kingston, because we run clinics with our stores and help people get approved to use to grow their own medical cannabis.
Awesome. She was also saying that she was going to do a few information sessions, you know,
Yep.
stuff like cloning and that sort of thing to
Yeah.
teach
Yep.
the people coming in. So, I mean, it's very exciting times to see what you guys have going on there being expanded into Kingston. As you said, so many people coming in from Kingston, it's going to save them a drive. But
It
being
is.
able to get the same quality of product with the same customer service.
That's right,
Yeah,
and the level of knowledge is there too.
Yes.
If you know, if they don't know in Kingston, we're always available as a resource for them as well. So there's, you know, nobody is ever going to have to feel that they don't have answers that they need.
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to it. That's what I've been doing lately, is just making sure that the store is getting stocked with deliveries and things from all the suppliers. So yeah, it should
Yeah.
be within the next week and a half, and they should be opening their doors.
What, stocking the shelves next week, I believe, aren't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
huge orders coming in. You know, we've got they're probably opening up with over $50,000 worth of products in stock.
Yeah.
So they're going to be very well stocked. And the service is going to be fantastic, as should be expected. We're only 90 seconds south of the 401. So
Real nice. Which exit?
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think there's even talk of them maybe acquiring a rosin press
Oh.
and putting a service in place where people bring in their own product and it is pressed by someone who runs the machine, and they can walk away with rosin as well.
That's becoming really hugely popular right now, isn't
Yeah.
it? I'm
Yeah.
seeing them pop up everywhere, and what a fantastic service to offer. I mean, everybody now is allowed to grow 4 plants. So even if
Yeah.
you're not a patient, you've got your own bud, which is perfectly legal.
Yeah.
And the gravitation that everybody is having towards moving towards extracts because of the availability of being able to vape over smoking and being so much better for your lungs. I mean, that's very attractive for everyone.
It is, and it's completely legal. As you know, anybody can possess up to 30 grams of cannabis.
Yeah.
And they can certainly bring it into the store, and I don't know what we're going to charge, but probably say it's $1 a gram. You can press that 30 grams into rosin for $30, and walk away with what's left of your cannabis and the rosin. I mean, there's still something left of your cannabis. You can make oil out of that or something.
I eat it. You know what?
You do?
It
Yeah,
almost
there you
tastes
go.
like
Yeah,
it almost tastes like coconut chips.
Yeah.
Oh.
So waste not, want not. Right?
Did I hear you say that this was going to happen in the Kingston store?
It
Yeah,
is.
and it may eventually even happen at the BMA store in Belleville as well.
If it seems successful, we'll do it too.
I was going to say, what do you mean May?
Get one.
It's something, and we also got permission and a license from the government so that now we can sell the 95% ethyl alcohol in the store as well for extraction and cleaning purposes too. So
190 proof,
it's
baby.
food grade. Yeah. So we can sell that too.
And no LCBO, because it's packaged and sold as a chemical product. It is regulated by the federal government, and we got permission from the federal government to sell it. So isn't that awesome?
That is
fantastic.
awesome. Yeah.
A lot of people using alcohol now and making distillates of all different kinds.
Yeah, absolutely. And cleaning purposes, as you said, so I mean, even if you're using a rosin press, if you have a grow, anything that you're doing, cleaning purposes now, alcohol is essential.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
And because it's food grade, you never have to worry that you're cleaning anything with a petroleum-based product like isopropyl. So, which is something that Health Canada frowns on, isopropyl alcohol and butane extraction. They're not real keen on anymore. So it allows you to stay within the guidelines of what Health Canada wants, and then it is completely safe as a food grade product. So
it's also probably very good right now as we go through this virus situation. People are looking for
Yes, it is.
people are looking for hand sanitizer. Stop in to BMA. Get your gallon jug today.
What is it? Aloe vera gel and
Aloe vera gel
the ethyl alcohol
and ethyl. Yep.
And you mix those together, and that is your
hand sanitizer.
You want to add some essential oils to create a smell?
Yes.
Yeah. You can use
lavender, peppermint.
Sure, use some lavender and maybe a little bit of tea tree, which are antiviral and antibacterial as well.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it can be done. Sadly, though, you can't get your hands on any of those products right now.
Yeah.
You can't get the aloe gel. You
true.
can't find it. You can't find it. Yeah. So you would have had to make this in advance. But good to know for future, when this does finally calm down and we have stock again.
Well, I think isn't the aloe only there to add moisture? Isn't the aloe there only to add moisture?
It's to make it turn into a jelly.
Yeah. So couldn't you add it to something else? Couldn't you add the alcohol to some? Yeah.
Well, if you wanted to, you can add the essential oils. All it does is it makes it more gentle on your skin as well.
Yeah.
So, because when you're using 95%, or even if you're using isopropyl alcohol, it takes something over 70% alcohol content in order for it to really kill the germs.
Okay.
So it's such a high concentration of alcohol that, after a while, your skin starts to feel like it's cracking off if you're using a lot of it, right?
I just think of the Gome machine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some high-proof alcohol, just bring some 40% and run it through that thing, and you're good to go.
That's right.
A lot of people using those now.
Yeah.
I have my distiller that I use to make my green oil, of course, and but mine's not the actual quote-unquote green oil machine. I don't have that one. I have just a distiller, and it does exactly the same thing, but you can get lower-grade alcohol and easily transform it.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, I know. I did that. I think I turned the temperature down a little bit from the 100 that you would use to run your tincture through, and I turned it down to, I believe, around 70 degrees, and first run through it came back at 85, and second run through it did come back at 94.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right, from coronavirus hand wash. Let's okay. When did you start doing this Grow Your Own series?
Yeah, it's been maybe 2 years ago, I think. I thought, I'm constantly growing. I'm growing indoors. I'm growing outdoors. Like I said, we've been in this business for 18 years. Deb and I have learned a lot. Our customers consider us as cannabis cultivation gurus. So as gurus, we tend to use a lot of knowledge in our everyday growing. So my thought was, let's just document what we're doing and let's teach others, because we teach a lot of people in the store, but it's one by one by one by one. If we can put this knowledge in a video and show people firsthand exactly how we do all of this stuff and how we are so successful and how they can do it too, then I think that's going to go a long way to help everybody and to help our business. And it does promote products, and I trial things. So, that's pretty much what the intention was. It's really just to teach. I love to teach, and Deb loves to teach too.
Share the knowledge.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
That's right. Well,
exactly.
I feel it's important, and you want people to succeed and do the best they can, because everything out there isn't always the best quality. So when you grow it yourself, you know what's in it, you know what's been put on it or not put on it, you know everything about it, plus you can start to pick strains that are geared more specifically for anything that you may want, whether it be recreational or for medicinal purposes.
You can make your own strains, right?
Yeah.
They keep talking about legal seed sources and about how, these corporations are the only legal sources of seeds. I'm sorry, but they're not. I've been legal for a long time. Like I say, about 10 years now. and I have been on the medical program, and I've been making seeds almost the whole time. Those seeds that I make, I give them away at the store because I'm allowed to gift up to 30 seeds at any given time. You want seeds? Here you go. No charge. So, I think we're going to be making a lot of inroads. Things are going to start happening that the government really isn't going to be able to keep their fingers on the control button. Right. You can't. The first time anybody tries to take me to court for giving away the seeds that I made and calling them not legal, that complete thing will be written right out of the law, right? Because it will never stand up.
No, and we are actually looking at in 2020 having a gathering of a seedy Sunday where people bring in seeds and we do seed swaps with each other.
Yeah,
we've had nug swap forever. I mean, why not seed swap? That's a fantastic idea.
Yes. I've heard about people having cannabis swaps where people bring their weed and trade.
Well,
nug swap. That's been around forever. We've been doing that at Paper Central for 15 years.
Well, I mean, doing it legally.
I participated.
But that way, to be able to trade for genetics that you might want, can't get.
Yeah, clone
and
trades.
It's a natural.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
it is.
Clone swap.
Yeah, clones. Some people have trouble with just because not everybody is scrupulously clean or above board with what happens with their cuttings.
No bugs allowed.
But with seeds, you don't have to worry about it.
True,
right.
That's right.
You don't get bugs or disease with seeds.
No.
You're not going to bring a mite into the house. This is going to destroy the rest of your crop.
So anyway, back to Grow Your Own. So it's a knowledge-based show. It's also entertainment. Part of it, the show I call the Road Show, and it's where we go around and we visit people's farms and we just take footage of what they're doing and kind of put it up there for everybody to see what's going on. I mean, there's things happening out on Tyendinaga. We have so many customers, really nice customers on Tyendinaga. We love them all. We really appreciate all the business they give them. I'm currently working on some fairly large projects out there, in the order of 36 lights or 40 lights, those kinds of grows, and they're connected directly to their retail outlets, and they're all booming out there. And I'm good for them for doing what they're doing. I hope they all are allowed to continue forever, and I don't see any signs that they're not. So
but wanting to do it the right way, well. So, but we can go out there, visit them, see, show people what is being done. And also with some of the medical permits as well. We did the one with the women who grow. Where Roseanne and I participated in a completely organic grow using a living soil with organic amendments, and what kind of yield you can get from that.
And we had an environmental scientist pitching in on that one for a little bit of advice too. So that was kind of cool.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Yes.
And go ahead.
I just for some of the listeners, you've talked about videos and show. That's very hard to do on radio. So I'm just gonna let people know that basically what happens here is you guys do these shows, you post them on your website. They're on YouTube. They are video podcasts that you're putting together. And then what we're doing here at the network is we're taking the audio from them and we're adding them as a podcast here in order to help share and spread the knowledge that you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So
this kind of collaborative stuff we've been doing for a long time, haven't we, Al?
We sure have. 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years, actually.
Yeah, going back to treating yourself, 2010, right?
Correct.
Yes,
exactly.
to the first treating himself.
Yeah.
That's right. 10 years.
Yeah, it's so much water under the bridge in 10 years, eh?
Yes. And actually, Deb may not know this, but I did mention that during the Women's Day special that I posted here on the network.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes, yeah. You may not have heard it yet, but yeah.
No,
Check it out.
okay.
Yeah, check it out. The Woman of Pace. You'll see it
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Well,
and
that
we all
whole
got
that
to
whole
mention Al did that one on the sly. He didn't tell any of us that he was doing it. All of a sudden, it just
Ah.
appeared, and it was on International Women's Day. We all got to mention pretty well every woman that has ever been a part of Al's life on his journey through the cannabis movement was mentioned. And yes, you got a spot, Deb.
Oh, that's great.
I
Thank you, Al.
I apologize at the beginning of that as well as at the end of that because I knew that I would forget somebody along the way, and of course, like I'm gonna say, like 5 or 10 minutes after I did it, I thought of somebody, and I thought, oh shit, how can I, but it's
Stoner
already
brain.
done. I can't add it on.
Stoner
Right?
brain.
Yeah.
Stoner brain. We all have it.
So yeah.
That's right.
I did a shout out to that person on the Reefer Report following the Sunday of the International Women's Day. It was March the 9th, I guess. Yeah, so I did that. But let's see what else.
we could
So what's in store for this year?
This year,
Yeah.
well, I mean, there's going to be more roadshow. There's going to be more indoor. There's going to be an indoor 2020. There's going to be an outdoor 2020. There's going to be more ACMPR in 2020. There's going to be possibly some new projects too. Like maybe we'll be documenting that 36 light grow that I'm going to be putting together. It is going to be a state of the art as far as First Nations goes. Anyway, it's going to be a state of the art facility. You can look to people like Tim Barnhart at Legacy 420. These guys set the standard, for all the others to follow. Their facility is state of the art. I went out there to have a look at what they're doing there, and Tim took us out to his farm and took us around on the farm. So you can see that episode. That's already up there, the Legacy 420 episode. But I see the First Nations thing as being a big deal, and they're all striving to be better. And I like that because we really do need to have some kind of controls that are going to say that what you're consuming is safe, right? And that's really what it's all about.
Right. There's that. But this year as well, we're not the only ones, but a lot of people are not fortunate enough to live in a rural area where you don't have neighbors. A lot of us do live in subdivisions. And we just happen to have one built behind us last year, and they just put up these wonderful LED street lights that now light our yard all night long. So
you could read a book in our backyard.
Yeah. So we're going to do our outdoor grow. Ross is going to concentrate on doing light deprivation growing, showing people how they can do light deprivation in a backyard that is filled with light from, street lights,
light
things
pollution.
like that.
We call it light pollution.
Yeah, light pollution. And I'm going to be doing an autoflower segment because to see how well I can get the autoflowers to work, because it shouldn't really make that much difference to them whether they have light or not.
That's right, and that's the one place that they come in handy with a light pollution. As you say, Ross, there. I mean, it's a bitch when you're living in the city. There is no dark time.
No. So we figure, we're not the only ones in this boat. So why not, do a show on it and show people what you can do to protect yourself and still be able to grow your own quality cannabis without having all the problems of having the light pollution. So
fantastic.
Yeah, like here's some of the exciting things you get out of what I'm doing with the light deprivation. First of all, I grew 3 plants this past summer. I got 7 pounds from 3 plants. So that's my target. Okay, I'm going to try to beat. But this year I'm only doing 2 plants, and I'm going to scrog them. I'm going to do the screen of green where you weave it through the netting, the trellis netting, right? And I'm going to try to make those 2 plants equal or better that 7 pounds if I can. And because I'm using light deprivation, I'm going to start them flowering in the middle of August. And I'll be finished by late September when I'd normally be finished at the end of October. So there's not only are we coping with an issue, a problem, we're benefiting from it. We're taking advantage of it now and making it work for us, right?
Earlier harvest.
Yeah. Earlier harvest, just as big, fewer plants, and this is how you do it. And that's what it's all about, teaching people, right? So let's talk about the indoor. Okay, indoor is coming up real soon. I've already got my plants selected, my phenotype selected. It's just a matter of getting enough cuttings done. I'm going to be doing an indoor living soil organic series this year for the indoor.
Very nice.
Cool.
I'm going to be taking two products, and I'm going to be comparing them against the other. The first one is Stepwell soils, which for anybody who doesn't know about Stepwell, it's a pre-made living soil. It comes with something they call an EM1 inoculant, and the inoculum is to actually make the soil come alive. It's basically a probiotic that inoculates the soil with beneficial bacteria and brings the soil to life. So that is going to be going up against something called Destiny. Destiny is a kit in a box, literally. I mean, it comes in a wooden box, and it's got everything you need, including the living soil and all the components. This one, though, it requires a little bit of tea. So we're going to be brewing tea indoors with their components and feeding their product. And Stepwell says, you don't really have to add nutrients, and all you have to do is put in their EM1 inoculum and water. Really? But we've sold quite a bit of it, so we have the benefit of getting feedback from a number of people who've used it. What we've found is that the strongest feedback has been on the finishing and getting that hard and heavy and the yields that you expect and the kind of size of buds that you want, right? Yeah. So I'll probably be dabbling in with a little bit of Gaia Green products, maybe some 444 all-purpose surface top dress, and a little bit of Power Bloom. I'll probably throw that in there maybe in week 2 or 3. It'll have a 30-day release, so by the time I'm done, I'll still be able to flush, and there'll be no residual nutrients left over, so it should all be clean as a whistle. But hey, I'm excited to see who wins that one, and you know what? I really hope. I hope it's a big fat tie.
well, that, and this year I've started a worm farm, so I shouldn't say a worm farm. I've got my vermicomposting going with my red wigglers. And
the Cadillac of worms, I might add.
Yes, for sure.
And I'm doing that as well. So Ross and myself as well, indoors for my mothers, will be able to take advantage of some of the vermiposts that I get from my worms. So
very nice.
So there you go. There's two exciting shows that are already planned and ready to go. They're not in the can, but they will be soon. I'm going to start filming that probably within the next couple of weeks. But first episode is probably 6 weeks away before we start posting the new 2020 season. Yeah. But like the Gold Rush shows on history and stuff, we take a little break in between seasons and come back even stronger the next year with even bigger nuggets.
Now, in the meantime, in the meantime, like you mentioned, 6 weeks. In that meantime, what we're going to be doing here on the network, we're going to be running some of the how-to stuff that you created last year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
good.
Yeah.
Get our listenership out there, give them some history and get them prepared for all the new and exciting stuff that you've got flipping plates in the air there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, for example, two of them were our Ebb and Flow that you did,
yes.
Deb. And Ross, you did a Making Hash episode.
I did. And you know what? Here's a nice little thing for people to think about. When you grow your own, you can achieve cannabis independence. Yeah. Cannabis independence means, for me and for Deb, it means that we haven't paid money for cannabis for over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So, and we have no intention of paying any money for it in the future. So that's
not
called
only
independence.
that, you know what you're consuming.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that is so huge today.
Yeah. And we're able to produce it in the quantities that allow us to do what we want with it. We can play with it. We can make other products. We can make oils. We can make hash. We can make topicals. We can make tinctures. There's just, the list goes on and on, rosins and all this stuff. my preference, my concentrate of choice is hash. Hashish has been around for thousands of years.
And it's legal to make too.
It is. It's
Yes.
totally legal.
Yeah.
And
The
I mean, if you go,
Yeah.
if you look at the way they do it in Morocco, in Morocco, they take a bowl and they put a piece of silk over it and they bungee it in there, and then they put the cannabis in there and a layer of plastic on top, and they tap it with 2 sticks. And when hash making season is on, all you hear throughout the village in Morocco is this rat-a-tat-a-tat as they beat their drum full of cannabis, and all the trichomes break off and fall through the silk into the bowl. And that's how they make Moroccan hash.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
if you look at our hash making episode, that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing it in a technologically advanced way. We have motorized high micron screens that do the work of the sticks and the silk. But the end result is the same. It's a big pile of trichomes. And those trichomes I form into blocks. And that's pretty much all I use now. When it comes to inhaling, I pretty much just inhale hashish now. So, I mean, if you want to be able to make your product or products of choice and enjoy consuming whatever you like to consume, cannabis independence is for you, for sure. And I know most of us right now, probably on this show, know what cannabis independence is. And I'd like to see everybody achieve it one day.
Absolutely.
Yes,
And I mean,
absolutely.
the trichomes, I mean, that's what the main, that's what you're using to make your hash. That's your
It is.
main medication.
It is.
So then now you look at that, and then you look at what the government is offering us. Okay. You look at what they're offering us in the legal store.
Yeah.
Now, you as a patient and as a consumer, you're gravitating towards the hash and the trichomes. So anything that you buy in the legal system is completely.
They couldn't sell that. They couldn't sell it not because they can't or it's illegal.
No trichomes, right? There isn't any.
They won't. They won't. They keep those and do other things with them. You're never going to see that my hash in a cannabis store anytime soon.
No, and also after Ross
you would
is
buy the weed to make your own from the cannabis store, like because it doesn't have any trichomes on it.
No, because they have already done what they call flopping it to remove the trichomes so that they can use it in some of their tinctures and oils. They use it in that, and same as when Ross is finished putting the cannabis through and getting the dry sift off of it, which he makes then into hash, we still refreeze that cannabis and then soak it in the alcohol, and then run it through our distiller to make sure that we get every last little bit out of it.
Yeah, nothing goes to waste.
Nothing goes to waste. Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what these people are doing. But then they're just taking that end product and they're selling it to the consumer as whole bud.
Yeah, as fresh flower.
Clean wiped.
It's interesting that we touched on the commercial producers there for a minute. I think we know what's going on with the commercial producers right now. I mean, there's a fairly serious situation. A lot of them are losing their liquidity. Their stock prices are going down. They're finding it hard to survive. And now with the coronavirus coming along and the economic disruption, I read an article today that says it's putting extra pressure on their already pressured stocks. So I think they're in trouble.
Bailout?
Well, I don't know. I don't see a bailout. No, I see them going up or down of their own accord. But what I do see is pressure on the government, pressure on Health Canada to come up with a system that is better than the one they have now for producing cannabis and cannabis products. So we have some exciting projects on the go too that I can't talk a lot about, but there are legal projects in the works that would require applying to Health Canada for permits, basically, I can just kind of give you a rough idea of where we're trying to achieve. It is a co-op type of a thing where you stack micro producers, you put micro processors, you put a whole bunch of people in one building, and that is like a craft factory, if you will.
Right.
And that's the concept, is to get the craft into the cannabis, because it's not there right now, and that's partly what's wrong.
Right. I think what you're going to see is it happened in the brewing industry with alcohol, where a lot of the giant breweries started to lose because they were losing out to the craft and small beer companies that were specialized. And that's going to happen, and it needs to happen in the cannabis industry as well, where you do have smaller craft growers who are specialized and come from a background of cannabis, not from a corporate background, to get it into the works. And that's where you're actually going to see it flourish. And then eventually, hopefully, it will open up to all of us, so that, everybody is able to participate in an open market. And with testing, just to say, my product doesn't have any of this, or this, then everybody should be able to participate in that.
Yes.
Well, that's just it. That testing is available now. It's widely available. I mean, we've got places like Legacy 420 right now that's doing an entire series on testing individual products that are out there right now. So, I mean, the testing is available.
I'm not sure everybody's happy about that testing.
No, I'm not sure everybody's happy about that either. I am, but I'm not sure.
I am too. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I'm extremely happy about it.
I look at it as if somebody has a problem with that.
Yeah.
Produce your certified lab test showing that a different result than Tim's, because Tim's obviously is a lab and everything.
Certified lab test.
Bring a lab test. The certified lab test.
I mean, that's what he's doing. But my point was, the testing is available. So because we can do this, on a mass scale at the retail level, well, there's no reason that we can't do that on a grow level as well. I mean, it shouldn't be limited to just the LPs, because the testing is there. Yeah. We can all do what the LPs are doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And do it with a lot more confidence, a lot more, I guess, professionalism with growing, because we know what we're doing.
Yes. And a little bit of science.
Yeah.
I love science.
Now, talking about growing, was there any other growing topics that we wanted to discuss on?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe some things. Got anything in the dark that you want to discuss about?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that if we feed it some shit, it might just grow. Well, we are a grow store. We help people grow things. Sure, mostly we've been helping people grow cannabis, but we help people grow veggies and greens and sprouts and all kinds of things. So, as we just grow things, I think the next thing on the horizon might be mushroom grow kits, for example. There's all kinds of mushrooms you can grow. You can grow morels, and you can grow shiitake and oyster and psilocybin and all kinds of different mushrooms, right? So selling a kit that you can take home, put on the gloves that come with the kit, and break up the cake that already has some mycelium growing in it, and just kind of put it in that tray and put a dome on it, and then spray the inside of the dome maybe once or every other day, and wait for your mushrooms to grow. Wouldn't that be awesome if you could get a kit like that and just bring it home and grow your own mushrooms?
Right.
As a mushroom grower, I can tell you that would be wonderful. That would be so much easier than anything that's out there. Growing
without the big electrical bill.
Yeah, without the big electrical bill. I mean, growing mushrooms is very satisfying to do, but it can get very technical. And even the kits out there, they can get complicated. There's a lot of steps.
Well, if you've got to prepare your medium, you've got to gather all the components. You've got to pressure cook it and sterilize it. You've got to put it all together. Then you've got to get your spores, and then you've got to inoculate it, and then you've got to let the mycelium grow, and then. Well, just take it home, break it apart, put a dome on it, and wait. That's, I think, a lot easier for everybody to control. Yeah, a little misting, but everybody can do that. Everybody can pull a trigger on a spray bottle.
Yep. Absolutely. That's exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're always trying to look for new horizons and new things that we can do. I mean, if it came a thing to grow cactuses for peyote buttons, then we would do that too. Because I mean, it's legal to grow all these plants. These things don't become illegal until you dry them out, put them in a bag, and sell them. Then they're illegal, right? But up until then, they're really not illegal. So we're not going to do anything illegal. Let's just put that out there right now.
Right, yeah.
Everything we do is going to be legal. And I would defy any lawyer to say otherwise, because I don't think they would. In fact, a lot of the lawyers that I know are in on trying to get the decriminalization of certain mushrooms achieved. And I think that's probably next on the legislative list.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And something else that we're doing too, and we've been asked to do, is to visit some of the local horticultural and garden clubs to teach them on, most of them are seniors, on how to grow their own cannabis as well.
It's funny too, because you know, Deb has been a director at the Belleville Garden Club for some time, and it's always been the old folks' place. All the gray hairs go there and talk about their begonias and their, you know, all these different flowers they grow. Deb has now been asked to come back as a director at large. That means that you're a airy-fairy director who kind of does whatever they want, special projects and things like that. And it's all about cannabis. These seniors are using cannabis as medicine more than any other age group out there.
Yeah.
They're also the baby boomers who grew up with it in the 60s.
Yeah.
And that's all they want to hear about now.
Yeah.
They don't want, they're still talking about their begonias, but they want us to come in there and show them how to grow cannabis. And not only them, the Trenton Horticultural Society has invited us to come out and speak. The Napanee Horticultural Society has asked. So all these groups are, you know, now wanting to hear from us and teach them how to grow cannabis. And it's just so great, after whispering for so many years, that we can now go and speak to large groups with audiovisual presentations and talk about how they can grow their cannabis and how great it is as medicine, all the different ways it can be applied as medicine too. That's really what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And I love not only being able to go and speak, but actually being invited to go and speak.
Yes.
And no, we don't want to hear about the begonias. We want to hear about the pot.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, that's true. And you know, we make that clear. Like, what do you want us to talk about? We want you to talk about growing cannabis. We want to know how to grow cannabis.
Yeah, that's the topic here, fellas. No, it's not tomatoes,
right.
okay?
It's not sugar-coated here, okay?
No, and the audience a lot of times is made up from many retired OPP and others, first responders, things like that, that are finding it very useful for some of the conditions, PTSD and so forth, and pain that they have.
We have many first
after
responders.
their careers.
Yeah. And you know, first responders aren't just ambulance police. No. There's also, get this, tow truck drivers. If you know anybody who was a heavy lift tow truck driver on the 401 for 20 years, you're dealing with some PTSD there.
Right, and also people who are on the front line with the ASPCA as well. Most people don't even think about the people who respond to animal issues as well. And
animal cruelty.
Yes, they get PTSD, you know? And it's not even recognized.
It's some shit, right?
Yeah. That's right.
So there's no end to cannabis's benefits. In my opinion, it is the wonder plant ever to hit this planet, and it is the most complex, I think, plant on this planet. It is complex genetically speaking and chemically speaking, to a point where I would compare it to humans, in that we are very genetically diverse and we're very chemically complex. And the cannabis plant actually mirrors that in many ways. It is the most random, complex plant. If you sprout 5 seeds of any given strain, you're going to get 5 different looking plants. And when you've got a mom and a dad and they have kids, if you look at the brothers and sisters, they're all different, aren't they? One's tall, one's short, one's fat, one's skinny, one's got brown hair, one's got... So it's the same. We're all phenotypes, all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You might have the same nose, but
you might have a similar nose.
Same color hair.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So you know, that's the randomness that we have and possess, and that's what cannabis does too. And when you embrace that randomness, a lot of people have trouble with that because they want to know that the kush they're smoking is really kush.
That's right. That's right.
I'm not so sure it is, and people don't like that.
Genetics, right? I mean, we've all got we're all made up of genetics.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're all diverse. I mean, you don't know what's going to pop out.
No, we don't.
For be the dominant arm in that particular sector. It could go any direction.
And you know, there are things that we're doing right now that could actually harm cannabis. For example, feminized seeds. Don't get me going on feminized seeds. No, I do it myself. I get myself going on. They force a female plant. They stress it to think it's going to die, and then it forces it to pollinate itself. And those seeds are called feminized seeds. So now they're passing on a predisposition to become a hermaphrodite themselves. So quite often when you grow a feminized seed, you'll notice that you get these random seeds and you don't know where they came from. Well, it's because they'll put out a little male flower and they'll pollinate themselves just to assure their survival. And then you take those seeds and now it's double hermaphrodite. So it's pollinated itself twice now. Now you're growing that seed. It's got an even higher predisposition to become a hermaphrodite and it's going to pollinate itself. And now you grow that seed. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. You keep doing this. Someday down the road, I'm sure long after I'm gone and dead and whatever, but there's going to be no more males and females. It's going to be just hermaphrodites, you know?
Yeah.
And we as a species, humans, do that to everything that we touch. Okay, look at
and it's not the first time we've been down this road with, with changing this plant, and not for the better either. I mean, before we knew what the hell we were doing, CBD was in there and it's like, oh, well, that doesn't get you high and it actually brings your buzz down. So let's get rid of it. And people started breeding it out. You couldn't find a fucking plant that had CBD in it. Then all of a sudden the CBD craze happens and it's like, oh, well, guess what? CBD is good for us. We need that. Now all the geneticists are scrambling like fucking crazy to put it back in.
Yep. Right? Yeah. And they never should have taken it out to start with.
No.
Yeah.
It's like when they make It's like when they make these isolates and distillate isolates and things like that, where they isolate THC and CBD and things like that, and then to make it palatable, and they removed all the terpenes in the process. So to make it palatable again, they add terpenes back, and it's like, whoa!
But they don't add the terpenes back in that are the whole plant terpenes,
right,
which you need because they're the essential oils of the plant. And if you ask anybody who's a naturopath, an aromatherapist, anything, the terpenes are very, very important. They're the enhancers, they're inhibitors. They actually help with bronchial dilation, with other things as well, anxieties, things. And so when you take them out and you only add back in one or two terpenes, you miss out on the true benefit of the plant, and all it really is doing is just getting you high.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole need. It seems everybody wants to deconstruct this plant down to its bare elements and then take all of those individual elements and put them back together and build a house.
Right, yes.
Yeah. And sorry, I was going to say some of that I think is being done also by the pharmaceutical industries because they would love nothing better than to be able to break it down to a single component and synthesize it and put it out there as something that could be controlled and bought. And fabricated. Yeah. So that the more we do that and help them do that, you're going to see that happen.
Yeah, it seems that a lot of people are, every time there's talk about a new cannabinoid being identified or another cannabinoid being focused upon or a new discovery about what that cannabinoid does, it seems like we all gravitate and focus just on that individual cannabinoid. And that seems to be a problem to me because that cannabinoid, yes, it's wonderful, it's important, but we can't just start eating that cannabinoid. You have to grasp the fact that they all work together. 4 wheels on a bus. You take away one, it's a 3-wheel bus. You ain't going very far.
No, that's right. And they say there's up to 300 different cannabinoids in cannabis. That's a lot. And we know
yeah.
a little bit about a few of them, you know.
Correct.
But there's something else called the entourage effect.
Yeah.
That's where you got a broad spectrum of all the cannabinoids, all the terpenes, all the flavonoids, everything, and basically the whole plant, right? So that whole plant knows what it's doing as an entourage, in that all those things combined together can treat just about anything. And for in most cases, that is the effect that most people need. I mean, there are specific cases where you want to target CBD for, say, childhood epilepsy. Of course, CBD is the answer, and there is a place for targeting those things. But for most conditions, the broad spectrum of all the cannabinoids is what they really need as good medicine.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a firm believer in whole plant remedy for, you know, probably 99.9% of things. Childhood epilepsy, high strength CBD works wonderful, but we can get that from whole remedy plant, from a high strength CBD plant that is grown specifically for that has low doses of all of the other cannabinoids, because I still think they're needed.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And that's the science part of it. And you know, the science really is just beginning on this plant. There's so much science to be done. And in some cases, we're going to do that. We're going to do that science. For example, this past summer, there was a problem with hemp borers. I don't know if you know what hemp borers are, but they're a European moth that came over here with hemp. And it basically, it gets in your cannabis. It'll lay its eggs. The little worms will go up through your stem and right up into your bud and going to come out in your bud. Nobody knows how to deal with the hemp borer. There's no research that's been done on the hemp borer because it's always been illegal. So why would they try to help people grow better cannabis and avoid a bug like that? So we basically worked with an entomologist at an insectuary who is also a biologist to come up with a way to try to deal with the hemp worm. And Deb was very involved in that. Maybe you should tell them about the...
Yeah, what we were looking at is in Europe, there's the corn borers. Those are the large ones that come out of the earth in around the end of June and bore into the bottom of the stalk and make their way up through the plant. So in Europe, in order to combat those, because they've been more proactive than we have here in North America with getting rid of different types of fungicides and insecticides to help with their bee population as well. They have developed pheromones. So pheromone traps are actually using scents that attract the moth to a sticky trap that will contain them and catch them before they go to the plants to lay their eggs. So that's what we were working on here, was trying to find a pheromone trap that can be put in amongst the plants, completely harmless to things, where it would attract the hemp borer moth. And usually the hemp borer moth, they will lay about 4 times through the summer. They're more prevalent after, if you're near any canola fields, the canola is harvested. The moth has nowhere else to go, so they will go for any hemp or cannabis plant. And they are the ones that go into the stalk, into the tender shoots up near the top, and then bore into the bud. So by developing a pheromone trap that attracts the moths, and the pheromones will last about 3 weeks. It's like encapsulated, and you put it inside a sticky trap. It catches all the moths that are in your plants before they can lay the eggs and have the larva bore into the buds.
Yep.
So that's what we were working on last year, and we did have some success with that.
Some good success.
Yeah, that's right. So this year we will be doing it again. And it's a way to try and combat, other than putting a bug zapper in the middle of your crop outside.
Good luck with that. Yeah. There are millions and millions of moths.
Yeah. That's right.
And you would kill them indiscriminately. It wouldn't just be the hemp borer.
Yeah.
This pheromone is specifically targeted at the hemp borer moth.
Yeah.
It does not attract other moths and hurt other species.
No. There's another one that will actually do some damage to your cannabis plants outside too, and it's the cabbage loper. And we have a pheromone for the cabbage loper. Those are the little green ones that will attack it as well. So there you can get pheromones now for cabbage lopers and for the hemp worm that will attract both of them, so you can help minimize the damage from those, because even after you harvest, if you miss them, they will still continue to live inside your bud.
You'll actually see one of those in the Women Who Grow series, the Roseanne's Farm. We had a couple of them out of Roseanne's Farm, and I think they made it into that episode. So.
Yeah.
Wow. So that'd be kind of gross. You're sitting there, you're ready to freaking open up your bud, and it's just sitting on the table, and a worm comes out.
Yes, and that has happened. I have heard stories about people breaking a bud open to roll it, and out comes a worm into their paper, and it's that's like the last thing you want to have.
Yeah, and those are the orange pink ones. Yeah. They're a pinky orange color with a black head, and they are about 1/4 of an inch long.
I call them gross.
Yeah. Yes.
They're borer worms, you called them?
Hemp borer.
Right, and
they bore a hole.
Yes, and they've been around with the hemp plant and cannabis from time immemorial.
Way back, like hundreds of thousands of years. These are companion species.
That's right. So anywhere where canola has been grown, because the moths are attracted to canola as well. Anywhere where they've grown canola, you cannot grow hemp or cannabis. And anywhere where you have had hemp or cannabis growing, you don't grow canola.
So are these only in Europe, or are they here?
They're here big time.
They're here. I know
Colorado's
somebody who's
having a
had
huge
them.
problem.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking because, as you know, we have a farm, and we're hoping to get back there this summer. We were considering having a small hemp. I have 30 acres that are cleared, so we're thinking about taking a piece and having a small hemp farm there, just for touring and educational purposes.
Well, that's
we have right up about 1 kilometer up the road is a giant canola farm.
Okay.
Well. Yeah, I mean, you guys can compete for the worms, I guess. I don't know. But what you're doing is great, but you know what? There's an issue with hemp right now too, and there's huge potential for hemp. But right now, we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure in place to process the hemp. And it starts right at the harvesting. People are trying to take their Massey Ferguson harvesters that they use to harvest all the other crops, and they're just tearing them up and breaking them halfway through the field. So I'll just kind of warn you that if it's for educational purposes and you want to have a field of hemp to show people, that's awesome. But there is an issue with trying to get it harvested. The machines that harvest the cannabis cost about $500,000.
Yeah.
And I believe there's like 2 in Ontario right now, and they travel around from farm to farm and harvest.
Yeah.
Many farmers who have jumped into the hemp market and taken their Massey Ferguson tractors out there to harvest it have paid dearly, and because those Massey Ferguson harvesters are worth a lot of money, and you wreck one of those and you're done with hemp. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's right. Well, and there's a lot of people are under the mistaken impression that all hemp contains CBD. It does not.
No.
There are about 60 strains that do have CBD content in them with a low THC to still be classified as hemp, but they are very specific
and very low.
And very low. So it's just because you grow hemp does not mean you're going to be able to extract CBD oil. And the hemp industry has been just up in arms about this for a long time, when people are saying, hemp oil, it's CBD oil. Well, no, it's not, or they would all be illegal.
Right.
Yes.
All
hemp is far from created equal. As you said, there is so many strains, and some are grown for their seeds, for making hemp seed oil. Some are
That we-
grown for their stock properties, for turning into textiles and that kind of thing. We had a guest on the past show, and I met her several times in person. She's become a friend of mine. She operates a hemp farm in Stratford, and I've had a wonderful education on hemp in the last year, and it's quite a complicated business if you want to
It
get into
is.
for farming. You still need permits and everything. Yes, it's
Yes, you do.
deregulated and legal, but you still have to have permits. And it's up to the government what seeds you're going to get. So I mean, you've got to wheel and deal for what kind of crop you're going to grow. So you can't just go in there and say, oh, well, this is what I'm growing. It does not work that way. And the availability of legal quote unquote seeds is very, very tenuous as well.
Yes.
And your crop, you have to have documentation that your seeds are actually legal. I mean, it's an extremely arduous process.
It is. And even if you destroy a plant, it has to be documented for the RCMP to be able to verify it.
For unknown reasons.
I know. And there's Kim, if you're ever in an area near Barrie, there is a place called Hempola Farms.
Yes, I've been there.
Okay, there you go. So you know the signs, and when you're driving around the roads around the farm where it's like, this is not marijuana, where you see it so people can't reach through the fence and grab some and things.
I visited Hempola, I guess it was probably about 22 years ago when they first opened, and I brought home a hemp stock, and it was all seeds and everything. It was for the seed that they were growing it for. And I brought home this giant branch, and I hung it up in the corner in my living room. And people would come in, and they'd look, and they'd go, well, what are you doing? You can't hang that there. And like, they would just lose their shit, right? Oh my God, what if somebody sees it? Aren't you scared? My mother came over and she's like, what the hell have you got there? And I left it there for about a year. And just because it was a great conversation piece. Hempola is fantastic. They have grown by leaps and bounds over the last 22 years. It was just a little hole in the wall farm when I went there. Hell, they got a whole bloody thing going on now with a gift center and education center, and I mean, it's really great. It really
I know,
is.
and they process their own product into flours and mixes, pancake mixes, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So it really is amazing. But that's what some of the hemp farmers run into now, is finding the processors that can actually convert their product.
Can I jump in here for a minute?
No.
We have a listener's question, and they've been waiting.
Oh.
They've been waiting patiently.
Okay.
I told them 15 minutes ago that I would ask you guys this shortly.
You guys got to tell us to shut up. That's all.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. What do they want to know?
This comes from Julie. Julie
Hi,
Julie. Is a long-time cannabis consumer, but has been a medical patient for the last 5 or 6 years. They are looking for some advice on how to grow their own plants, but they would love to try to grow these plants. She's messaged me. She would like to grow. I'll just read it right off. I have never grown my own plants, and I would love to try to grow some plants indoors as soon as possible. Will I really need to buy a special light or lamp? As well, do I have to give the plants any kind of supplements? She further goes on to say, maybe I should just break these down individually. What do you think? So let's start with the lamp. Do they need a special lamp? Or she's asking if she can use natural sunlight.
Not indoors.
No.
Not indoors. There you go, Julie.
No.
If you're going to grow outside, the sun is fine. Indoors, you need to use a lamp, whether it's a HPS or a LED, which would help with your consumption of power, right?
Right, or a ceramic metal halide. which is lower power consumption but very high intensity, and will give you excellent results. Great trichome development, because unless with some of the LEDs, unless you're spending quite a bit of money, you're not going to get the trichome development, or the crystal, if you will, that is going to help with the potency of the plant.
Okay.
So you do need that. If you are trying to use a windowsill to grow things, a lot of people who are putting plants on windowsills right now, we're just over the 12 and 12 period, so you're going to have a plant that's going to start flowering at about 6-7 inches tall.
Yeah.
Then
don't put it in the windowsill.
Don't put it on the windowsill. If you want to vegetate it longer, so without stressing it, then you need to supplement your light cycle for another, and you can use a fluorescent for that purpose if you then want to put it outside to grow it.
If you're growing it to put outside. Mm-hmm. But if you want to finish it indoors, you need a decent light. It's got to have the intensity to give you that result that you want. You want that hard, heavy, smelly, tasty thing, right?
That's right. Unless you do go with something like an autoflower for your first grow indoors. They're generally not quite as potent, but they don't need a photo period that is going to trigger them to flower. So you can get away with a little bit less power, because they're going to go ahead and do it just on their own as far as age goes, because of the ruderalis that is in them.
Right.
So,
next
you got nutrients. So nutrients, I'm going to recommend Canna Terra line and ProMix as your medium in a pot. It's so easy to use. Canna Terra line is just one bottle. It's got a little measuring cup right on it, and when you put it into your water, it pH balances your water automatically. So if you add it and use it, you've got the right pH balance. It's an awesome nutrient, simple to use. ProMix is super easy to use. You can put it into your garden after you're done with it, or throw it onto your lawn and fortify your lawn. But that's your simplest, easiest way to grow indoors. Artificial lighting, CMH, power efficient, highly intense. ProMix is the easiest medium to get. You can get that at any hydroponic store. And Canna Terra or any other nutrient line would be fine. I like the Canna Terra just because it's so simple and easy. So there you go. That's how to grow indoors. Oh, and maybe a little tent package wouldn't hurt either. We have tent packages at the store. You can get a 4x4. You can get a 4x4 tent with that CMH light and everything you need, a carbon filter, all the bells and whistles, except for the nutrient and the pots. And you get that for like $9.99, and it's a take-home setup and away you go thing.
But it's not necessary. But if you really want to have good quality buds, yes, you do need a special light.
Yeah, this light in a 4x4 tent with 4 plants is capable of producing 3/4 of a pound. Okay, so that's what you're looking at. Yeah. So $9.99 for 3/4 of a pound is probably about right. But then every crop after that's free.
Yeah, because the further Julie goes on further and asks if about nutrients and whether you have to give them, or can you just use a very good fortified soil, like you mentioned about Stepwell, maybe that's a soil that they could use, because they may not have to require to put nutrients in.
Right.
No, that's right. You would use the beneficial bacteria inoculant. So, and if you have a high pH water, you're using apple cider vinegar to adjust your pH in your water, and that will not harm your beneficial bacterias. So that's all the Stepwell requires is an inoculant of beneficials every 1 to 2 weeks, and that's it.
But usually we're talking about new people that are new to growing. You don't want to jump right into the science of organics on your first crop. You can try if you want, but honestly, if you really want success the first time around, keeping it simple is pretty important for the first time growers.
For sure.
As you go along and you learn, you can do your research. You can get more complicated about the things you use and how you use them. If you like organics, then learn about the science of organics and learn about the science of cannabis and how organics and cannabis differ from organics and vegetables. And, those are the things that are a lot of things to learn, and it takes time to learn all those things. So if you have an interest in that, the information's out there. You can get it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Julie, for that question. That's the first. We've had them in the past, but normally messages, I don't see them until afterwards. And this one I just happened to see, and hey, let's click on this button. And there they were.
There you go. Awesome. I think that's a great thing to do. I like it that people are asking questions.
She says, wow, this is great info. Thanks, and have a good night, everybody. You guys.
Okay, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Okay, have you got anything else you'd like to touch on as far as grow your own, or basically we can finish things off from here? What do you think?
Have we not given you enough?
I think so. We've been an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's only one other thing. It's not quite grow your own, but at the class, we are going to be getting someone in that deals on a website on Facebook right now. It's a closed group. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of Cannabis Kills Cancer, but there may be someone who does give advice on there as far as how to dose properly for different things. So she may be coming and giving a seminar through our store, and it will be completely free. We'll post that on our Facebook so that people can learn how to dose properly.
And speaking of dosing, I can now test MCT oil and coconut oil. Sorry, I guess that is MCT oil.
Yeah, it is.
And oils of all kinds and concentrates. So I can now test those products and give you the milligrams per milliliter so that you can dose it properly.
That's right.
Perfect. That's right. All righty. Other than that, the only thing I got to mention offhand, if we're wrapping things up here, is let everybody know when your podcasts are going to start airing here on the network. And that will be on Tuesday, March the 31st.
Yay!
Yeah, that's when we'll start.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You will start. They will start rotating every other Tuesday. Is when that when that will happen, and you'll be rotating with another podcast that we'll be announcing tomorrow here on the network.
Yeah. I'm going to have to send you all my MP3s of all our commercials.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm sure some of our listeners wouldn't mind an update. Well, we've got some new ones on there now. But I'm still running an old one because the information in it is still relevant today.
Yep.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's right. That's great. Thank you.
Oh,
and we appreciate all the work you two do up north and down south here.
Yeah. And you know, it's nationwide and worldwide that you guys have a good reach, and thank you for doing what you're doing. You guys are great advocates.
Well, thank you very much for your kind words, and to yourselves as well, for getting out there and sharing your knowledge and experience with others, and expanding into the college is fantastic.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Sharing is caring.
That's right. Sharing is caring. Exactly.
And cannabis will get you through a coronavirus epidemic better than money. How's that saying? Better than money? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
because you isolate yourself in your garden because you spend so much time in it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right. As we depart, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to tonight's show, and as well as Julie for the question. We really appreciate that. And don't forget to support those who support us. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.